There should be sound. Okay, there is sound. Alright, what's up, man? You good? Some guy? What's up, brother? I know you missed the stream and you wanted to, like, be on the stream. Is the quality and everything good? 1080p, let me see that. Alright, I'm using my phone. Stream's gonna be scuffed for a while, but it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? Sorry I'm eating, but I just got done from the gym and I'm back here. I'm gonna get going with some like streams throughout this week. There we go. Alright. Can you hear me now? 1080p, let me see that. I feel like you're getting some. I'm using eating ASMR. Alright. Let me put this here. Alright. Look good. So, Nomad, he made a playlist for me, right? To react to some videos, and he literally like sent me like a whole playlist. So we're just gonna react to that for now. Also, I don't even want to like, bro. Last time I got copyrighted, my whole stream got like taken out, bro. And so I just had to end stream. It was getting late as well, so it was fine. It was fine. I ended the stream there. But now we're gonna react to this. When women treat men like kings. Alright, let's see what this is. I'm a true African wife who kneels before her husband when giving him food. I don't kneel before yo. Oh man. Yo, that kind of reminds me of something else. I ain't gonna lie, boys. That reminds me of like a dark history back in time. Hamza's new video. Alright, let me watch Hamza's new video. This one? Are you talking about this one? Nah. Alright, say less, man. What about his unfiltered? Has he posted anything? I don't think that's gonna get clicks though. My YouTube's bugging. Maybe he deleted his new video. There we go. 3 easy tricks to make first dates less awkward. Alright, let's watch that, bro. Let's watch it.
Jeffrey's finally got a date with Jessica. I'm gonna have a girlfriend soon. He's planned to meet her in town for drinks and she's
definitely, bro.
right.
I'm done filtering.
But then Jeffrey begins to
let's
feel
start this
nervous.
again. Wait. Alright, 3 easy tricks to make first dates less awkward. Let's go.
Jeffrey's finally got a date with Jessica. I'm gonna have a girlfriend soon. He's planned to meet her in town for drinks and she's almost arrived. But then Jeffrey begins to feel nervous.
Where's Jeffrey wearing a suit?
How do I greet her? Should I go for a handshake? But no, but that's too formal. But a hug? But then I don't know how to hug. Like, how do you hug? Like, should I kiss her on the... Wait, how do I say hello to her without being weird? He's feeling incredibly awkward, like most unexperienced young men are when they go on their first date with a girl. You know who can help with that, Jeffrey? Adonis! Adonis goes on a date with Anastasia. He's relaxed, confident, and masculine. Throughout the entire...
Bro, I feel like dates aren't that big of a deal. It's just like you're hanging out with someone, bro. You just need to chill. Especially if it's a first date. Like, bro, you're just going there. You don't even know them. You know, you're just trying to get to know them. Don't be like way too like serious about it. You know, you need to be kind of like relaxed. Just taking it easy. Trying to get to know the other person. Just like joking around. Like, it shouldn't be like, you shouldn't stiff off and be like, oh, this is a person I'm gonna marry, bro. If you think that, then you're kind of fucked. You're just there to have fun. That's what you need to think of it as.
Date, Anastasia feels her feminine energy being
exactly.
polarized. There's no feeling of awkwardness or nervousness or cringe or weird or overthinking. There's just pure presence, flow state. And that means Adonis and Anastasia connect so well with each other. Let's show you how to get here, Jeffrey. 3 easy tricks to make first dates less awkward.
Yo, where is Hamza, bro? It looks so much more yellow than usual. Is this what Dubai does to a brown brother? Nah, I'm kidding, but that's probably Dubai now, right? So the background's kind of... It kind of reminds me of like when he was back in his room back in Birmingham or whatever. Manchester? I don't know.
When I was
That's like
17
my
or 18 years
Wait. See?
old, there was an awkward first date that I went on. I met this girl through Tinder or something. I'm not gonna lie, like I wasn't, you know, high value at the time. I was quite young and, you know, not experienced.
Hey, yo, what is that picture, bro? That's crazy that he took that picture. Pop up, don't care who. Damn, bro. Did one of you man actually use Snapchat seriously? I never took Snapchat seriously. I posted that 1 or 2 stories. I ain't gonna lie. And that's just because, like, I wanted people to, like, maybe talk to me. But then I was like, bro, Snapchat is just boring. It feels like a very isolated version of Instagram. That's not much to do, man. I feel like it's just full of, like, horny teenagers. Realistically speaking, man.
That's for anything, right? I had only been going to the gym for a couple of months.
Yo, if you still use Snapchat, like, on, like, a serious type of thing, right? Hamza said this before, but if you use Snapchat and you're older than 16... Move on, bro. Move on.
And this girl that I matched with on Tinder, I'm not gonna lie, bro, no offense to her, like she's not gonna be watching this because this was so long ago, but she wasn't attractive. And I still, like, I went on a first date with her, you know, whatever. Like, and I just remember we get there in Costa Coffee in like this cafe in the UK and in the shopping center of our city. And I'm actually getting a little bit paranoid thinking, wait, if anyone sees me with this girl, like, this is actually gonna lower my SMV, like being around this girl who's just not attractive. And I don't say this to be offensive.
Oh, damn, man. That's the one thing, bro. Never go for someone, right, you think is ugly. Like, really, you need to, if you are going for a girl, you need to firstly find them attractive, and you need to respect them as well. If you don't respect a girl and you don't find her attractive, then you're being a degenerate. You're only doing it because you're thinking with your dick. So come on, guys, like, if you're trying to, like, go for a girl, respect them, because it shows you that you respect yourself as well.
Offensive, it's just like, you know, sometimes you like date below your standards, right? And so we're stood there just in the line waiting to get like some frozen icy chocolate drink or something, and it's just awkward. We're not saying anything, we're just stood next to each other. I'm just like paranoid. I'm kind of like stood like a meter
Exactly,
away from her,
man.
hoping that
If you don't think you can achieve your standards, then you should focus on yourself. But then once you feel like you've improved a bit, then you need to, like, start in the dating market immediately, because a lot of people tend to wait. Like, I watched a video from More Plays More Dates where he's talking about, like, the PUA phase, which is like the pickup artist phase, where, like, you know, like, every guy wants a girl, right? And a lot of, like, people in self-improvement tend to be like, oh, I'm focused on my purpose. But realistically, they're just, like, lying to themselves. They really want a girlfriend, but they're not going to go for it because they really, inside, they're still, like, anxious and afraid that they're not good enough. So they'll never, like, go out. So once you're on self-improvement and you've seen, like, some progress, you need to, like, start the PUA phase, or, like, at least, like, trying to talk to girls straight away. Because if you don't, well, that phase is going to come into your life later on in life, right? In times where it's actually more important for you to focus on your career, right? Like, you don't want to put that phase off for too long. Like, if you wait until you're like 25 to do that shit, you could have just gone it over with when you were like 20 or 19 or 18, right? But instead, if you wait until you're 25, then, like, you've lost, like, so much experience you could have gained during your, like, earlier years. And you don't really want to be chasing pussy around that time, man. You don't really want to be chasing girls when you're 25. And being awkward around girls during that time. Right now is the time to be awkward if you're young.
if someone does see me.
Yeah, make friends as well. Make friends as well.
Which is fucking horrible, but you know, it was the situation I was in. We had the drinks, walk around the city centre a little bit, like, you know, on the outskirts, and go sit on like this like quiet part outside. Literally go sit on this bench and just kind of like talk a little bit. And you know, it's kind of awkward. We're both like sitting on, you know, like a park bench facing forward and like not even looking at each other, like, you know, a little bit like this every now and then, just drinking our drinks and talking forward, even though we're sat like side by side. Fully awkward date. I've had multiple like this, and it's totally normal. Honestly, if you're gonna speak to a guy who's actually done well in his dating life and he's had some experience with women, he must have been on some awkward dates just like I have. Try and break this down in your head. Try and like just visualize me and, you know, what you know of me in this date, 17, 18 years old, going out with this girl that I don't want to be with. Visualize me there and let's try and pick this apart. Why was this first date awkward? Now, first of all, of course, it was what I told you. It's like there was a difference in, you know, our standards, our values.
Difference in standards. he probably expected too much, and he held the prize, as someone said in chat. What else, man? Obviously, he probably was just like nervous for no reason. I don't know what else. Let's see what he
It was
says.
like I wasn't that interested in her, so straight away it was like, since I wasn't that interested, I wasn't gonna be like, enthusiastic about this already, which would have meant like, there's a little bit more friction to things actually going well. So that's the first easy way that we can talk about to go onto a date and make sure it's not gonna be awkward. Is just make sure the girl that you're going on a date with meets your standards. Now this is common sense. It should be common sense, but the thing is, often as guys, girls not so much, but guys especially, sometimes we'll just lower our standards, quite frankly, because we're horny as fuck and we just want to fuck, and then you think, oh, this girl wants to meet in public. Or like, sometimes we'll just lower our standards. Now there's some guys who seem to never lower their standards. They've got high standards. They only want to date like 10 out of 10 girls. Fair enough.
That's good advice, Draco.
If you're more like me, especially when I was younger, you're a bit more lenient with your standard. Now, there's a type of girl that you like, a look, like a, what do people say? Type, I think, like, oh, what's your type of girls? Oh, I like tall girls or whatever. You have that preference, but often you could even reduce it just because it's like, oh, it's been a little while since you've been with a girl. Like, the dating market's kind of fucked up. 90% of chads and, you don't know how it works, right? So if you lower your standards and you actually have to go on like a first date with this girl that you don't even want to go on, most likely it's gonna be awkward just because you don't even want to be there. Now, of course, you probably heard of this fairy tale thing of like, oh, like I didn't really like her, but like we went on a date and she was amazing and I fell in love. Okay, sweet, that's a nice fairy tale story. Doesn't happen most of the time. The easy way, and this is of course common sense, so I'm just going to cover it very briefly. The easy way to eliminate that awkwardness is make sure whatever girl that you're taking on a first date, you actually want to date. And as much as this sounds vain and any like soft person might say we're bad for this, bro, make sure that she's attractive enough that you would actually like to be seen out in public with her. I know that sounds kind of mean, but the thing is, women are thinking this about us anyway. So let's think back about that situation I was in that awkward first date. We're in the coffee shop and everything. Think back about that and let's pick out another reason why that first date could have been awkward.
Man.
Now, me and this girl, we're stood in line, we're not talking. Can you pick out what may have felt awkward at this point? You might say it's the silence, because a lot of guys do think silence is awkward, and as you get more experience in the real thing that we're going to improve, you'll realize silence doesn't need to be awkward. The real thing that caused the awkwardness in this situation wasn't silence, it was communication skills and flirting. Communication skills just mean, like how you talk and vibe with someone else. And most guys, and most people, honestly, most girls as well, have very poor communication skills. People have pretty good skills, on the internet, texting each other and Snapchatting and whatever, but most people actually suck at holding conversations in person. And I expect this is very true for the younger generation. The young guys and girls who are teenagers these days literally can't even hold a conversation without their mind wandering to somewhere else because they used to like switching their attention every 0.3 seconds when they scroll through Instagram. So on that first date, the reason why it was awkward was because we both lacked communication skills to make the conversation seem smooth. We ran out of things to say, and that's not totally a bad thing, but the reason why it was a bad thing through Instagram. So on that first date, the reason why it was awkward was because we both lacked communication skills to make the conversation seem smooth. We ran out of things to say, and that's not totally a bad thing, but the reason why it was a bad thing was because at least I, and probably her, had the perception that if you're not constantly talking, and if there's a bit of silence in the conversation, that means it's awkward. Now, as you improve your communication skills, you'll realize that it's normal to run out of things to say. You'll probably see those cringe videos on YouTube. Maybe I'll make one soon to clickbait people. But you see
that's actually true. That's actually good riz, Like people, like I struggle with this. Whenever there's silence, I notice it straight away. And I try to fill up the gap. I think I need to work on that more. I need to let silence just be, man. I can work on that more.
Those cringe videos on YouTube, like how to never run out of things
to say. On YouTube,
and I always watch them just thinking this guy who made it clearly doesn't go outside, because that's not a real problem to solve when you actually step outside of your house. It's okay, it's normal. You don't have to try and think oh wait, I always need to have something to say 24/7. There's gonna be times that you don't have anything to say, and at that point it's totally fine to literally just stand around and not feel awkward about it. But when you have the wrong belief that you always need to have something to say, that's when silence feels awkward. This all comes back to communication and social skills, and when it's specific in terms of dating, this is called flirting. So flirting is kind of like social skills, but with a girl. And in this situation, the first date that I was on,
it's riz, man. It's riz, all right?
Which was really awkward. I didn't have any flirting skills. Now the thing is, I might have been better at talking and flirting if it was with a girl that I was really attracted to. But perhaps the first reason comes back in again, so you can see how important that was. Before this second trick to eliminate awkwardness on a first date, just learn how to actually flirt and talk to girls. And I've got a video on that you can watch there. And finally, there is a third major reason why that.
I think maintaining eye contact is the best way to make up for silence. Like if you and a girl are both interested in each other, then you'll just be thinking about them while with them. You can tell so much from eye contact. W.
It was awkward for me, and you've probably been on situations
but imagine it's just silent, they're just staring at each other, you know what I'm saying? Isn't that kind of awkward? Like, imagine it's just like silence and you're just like looking at each other. If there's like a good attraction between two of you, that makes sense. But if it's just like a weird stare, then I don't know, man.
This yourself, and it's more related to masculinity and especially taking responsibility. Can you guess what it is? You see this environment we're in, the coffee shop, you see the girl, you see everything, and yet the most important thing to focus on is yourself. Zoom in on yourself. When I imagine myself in this situation, it wasn't her fault or the logistics or the environment. It was all down to me and the man that I was at the time. I was quite young and quite inexperienced with women, so I was an awkward person at that time. I'm no longer an awkward guy who's inexperienced.
I was like, Hamza was a bot, bro. Like, why is his caption so bot-like? I used to write the most like stupid shit, but at least they were like entertaining. He's just like, Sunday sucks. Oh, I hate school. That's like, bro, you're a sheep, Hamza. At least he used to be.
With like dating, and so I never have like awkward moments with my girl. The title of this video is a little bit of a lie because this third trick that we're going to talk about is not easy at all, but it just comes with the rest of your self-improvement. The more that you build yourself up as a man and you develop confidence and success and status, and your physique gets even more improved and you're ripped and shredded and muscular and you're actually happy with your life, well, the less awkward that you feel in any situation. Most people want an easy trick or a shortcut or the fast way out, and that's probably why you've clicked on this video. But if you really want my best advice, it's not going to come quick. For me to get better with girls took over 1.5 years from that awkward first date to the point that I went to university after watching like so many videos on YouTube on how to flirt with girls, how to text girls, and we've got all those kinds of videos that you can see. We'll have them linked in cards on the screen and also in the description of this video. We've got a whole playlist of like how to actually navigate your dating life. After I spent so much time like learning about this and then trying to implement it, you know, going on dates and like remembering that one YouTube video that I watched and trying to use that on this date, I got better and better, but it took a while. There was no quick fix that I made there and then to feel less awkward on the date.
It's just about gaining experience, man. Like, every time I go out now, I'm trying to practice my social skills. Not even like with girls. I'm trying to practice my social skills just with like the gym bros and like people, friends I interact with on a daily basis. And a good way to do that and be aware of that is to read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's like a amount of like good amount of principles there which you can like learn per day and you can try to implement and notice in your everyday conversations, right? For example, one rule is to never criticize or condemn people. And I realized like as I've gone into like self-improvement and I've become less of a Jeffrey, like in every conversation I'm having, I kind of like do it like Sneeko. I question them on their beliefs and like what they do on a daily basis, like their daily routine, what time they wake up, and I almost like slightly criticize them on that or like showcase that, oh, my sleep schedule's like kind of good, you know, compared to yours. You should fix your sleep schedule. And I realized like one of the rules in How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's never condemn or criticize people. And so like every time I was like showcasing that some of my friends should like, you know, stop playing video games, so they should fix their sleep schedule, I was kind of like making them feel a bit bad about themselves, which, you know, you need to hold your friends accountable. But if that's like your first interaction with someone, then they're not gonna fuck with you after that, man. So you need to be very careful with like how you criticize people. You need to do it in a nice way.
Yeah, sure, you can, you know, try and meditate midway through the date. And sometimes I would recommend that to stay present. But the truth is, you're having awkward dates because you're an awkward guy.
Do you ever feel as if Hamza's videos get too repetitive? I do, but I think it's because, as Gary Vee says, right? Gary Vee always repeats the same things as well. He repeats it because it works, and for it to stick, a lot of the times he needs to like repeat it a lot, you know.
Simple as that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but most guys who are awkward found they particularly are very physically incapable. They might at most go to the gym and lift some weights, but they do absolutely no like contact sport. I found that having an awkward personality usually comes from guys who haven't ever like wrestled when they were young. Like when you've wrestled with an awkward person, lift some
that's
weights,
actually true. All right, that's true. That is true. I struggle from this.
Or an awkward guy. Simple as that. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but most guys who are awkward found they particularly are very physically incapable. They might at most go to the gym and lift some weights, but they do absolutely no like contact sport. I found that having an awkward personality usually comes from guys who haven't ever like wrestled when they were young.
That's actually true, you know. Like I used to wrestle with my like cousins when I was young. Like I had a lot of that when I was young, but when I moved to the UK, right, like for a good amount of time, I didn't have any like male friends, and so like I didn't have like physical interactions with like men, you know what I'm saying? So every time like someone now touches me, right, there's like a sense of, oh, what the fuck, bro, with me. So like I feel like physically I'm kind of awkward in that sense. Like whenever someone tries to hug me, I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, get the fuck away from me. But I need to fix that, man. I need to fix that. Nah, bro, like it's sus, yeah, but like really, like human touch is really important, and so many people are deprived of human touch. And so like a lot of people aren't, like, a lot of the times you think you're horny, or like you really feel lonely, but what you really need is for someone to like you know, just like physically like fist bump. That's why a good handshake feels so good, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like you get a good handshake in, it's like, bro, that's a connection there, you know what I'm saying? Like that's why COVID ruined a lot of people's mental health, because like they couldn't like have the physical interactions. They were over like Discord or whatever. And you can build good connections online, but nothing beats physical, man.
Like when you've wrestled with your friends and, you know, you used to like fight your friends and everything. Not like, you know, punching shit, but like when you like grab your friends and throw them to the floor.
Exactly,
you lose this like awkwardness. A lot of guys are awkward because they didn't have their father play with them when they were children. This video went a lot deeper than I thought it would. There's two real reasons why the majority of men these days are awkward. And one, it's fatherlessness, and two, it's social media and just this internet generation that we live in, this technology driven generation where we just stay at home and just like look into our screens. And fatherlessness is probably the bigger problem because that causes the technology addiction that we all have. There isn't an easy fix to that, but the reason why so many guys are so awkward, simply because their father didn't like wrestle with them when they were young. I know that seems like a stretch of like, you know, this conclusion that I'm making, but I promise you that this is the truth. And that's what we're hoping to change with this movement that you see before you, because this, as you know, is not a normal YouTube channel. We're a movement of men who have committed ourselves to self-improvement. And right now, you know, we're quite young, so it's all about just improving all these little aspects of our lives. But eventually, all of this is going to lead to the most important point, which is fathering children, and actually being that kind of father that sticks around and raises your son and your daughter right. You want to be part of that movement, go click the subscribe button right now. Click and watch this video. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.
Damn, man. Hamza makes really good videos. The thing is, he repeats the same messages over and over again, but every video is authentic in the sense that there's always something new that he adds to the video. So I think, obviously, you don't want to like constantly watch Hamza videos, but to me, like, who's not obsessed with his content, who's not like really consuming self-improvement content anymore just for the sake of consuming self-improvement content, like, it's good, it's refreshing sometimes, because it just reminds me of things that I slightly forget. That's a good video, man. Do you guys just want to watch Hamza videos today? Wife started reading the Quran. Let's watch that as well. Right,
Jeffrey is a racist. For some reason, he just hates people who believes in God. Now, of course, there's some normal atheists, but Jeffrey
Wait, what? What? Yo, Jeffrey, I knew you were like bad, but I didn't know you were that bad.
Jeffrey is a racist. For some reason, he just hates people who believes in God. Now,
oh, he's not a racist. He's an atheist, right?
Jeffrey is a racist.
Oh, he's a racist atheist. Okay.
Jeffrey is a racist. For some reason, he just hates people who believes in God. Now, of course, there's some normal
atheists who think they're better than religious people because they know that God doesn't exist. Aye, bro.
Atheist, but Jeffrey is a hater. He spends his time on Reddit and in the YouTube comment section swearing at people. God doesn't exist. Come on, Jeffrey. People are entitled to their own beliefs.
You know what? That makes me laugh, yeah, because I went through that phase when I was like 13, 14, you know, the edgy teenager phase. I think everyone went through that phase, you know?
When you think of Adonis, what kind of man do you think he would be? Would he be a Reddit atheist? Or would he be a godly man? Wouldn't a man like Adonis raise his children in a way to fear God? Wouldn't he prefer to have a woman whose whole community believes in God and follows a structured system to live their lives by? Adonis is a man of values and he gets that from his religion. I hated being brown-skinned. I hated identifying as a Muslim. I was born in Pakistan and we moved to the UK when I was just a few years old, and my parents raised me to be a Muslim. And by the time I got a few years old and 9/11 had happened, all I saw on the TV was issues with brown people. As a young child, it became confirmed in my mind.
Yo, no, like when I was younger, I got called Paki all the time. Even though I'm Nepalese, like sometimes the thing is, right, sometimes like I look Indian and sometimes I look Asian. When I'm like lighter, I look Asian. Now that I'm older, I look more like Southeast East Asian. But when I was younger, there was a very good amount of time where I just looked Indian. So I used to get called Paki every time, like when I played football, bro.
that being brown was a bad thing. Being Muslim meant that I was a terrorist. It was a source of ridicule and bullying in school. Till eventually I started adopting more of this like white British culture. But I never really fit in with the people here. I made jokes about my own race and my own religion. And you know, I was like the self-deprecating little Pakistani guy who was like making racist jokes about brown people and everything and like calling myself a terrorist just to try and make the white boys laugh. When I look back now, like, you know, it's cringe and it's kind of annoying when I think.
See, I never had that because I went to like a mostly black school. But I did make racist jokes, like, don't get me wrong. But I don't look back at it thinking that, oh, I was trying to win the validation of other people. Because I made racist jokes around, like, Asian and black people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just fucked around with each other. It wasn't to gain the validation of a white man or a white guy, because my school hardly had any white people in that. It's actually funny thinking about it, because like, white people were the minority in my school.
Of that little shit version of me. But I also just see like this young boy who was so pressured by the society and the media around him that convinced him that being brown was a bad thing, that being religious was a bad thing, that being Muslim meant that you're a terrorist. And that's all I saw every single day on the TV, every single day hearing the news and everything, that okay, brown people are bad and you know Muslims are terrorists. And so of course I didn't want to identify with that. When there would be like some kind of terrorist attack, I would literally personally feel shame and I would really want to deviate away from those people and act extra white next to my friends. I abandoned my race, my religion, my faith, my God. And I indulged in the...
You know, I used to notice this, like, people who really wanted to be white. I really, like, noticed this, like, when I came here, like, bro, people really wanted to be accepted, man. I just, like, didn't give a fuck, though. So that's one thing I can respect about myself when I was a kid. I really didn't care about being, like, quote-unquote, accepted by others. I just did what I wanted.
The pleasures of the West, the degeneracy that's available here. You know, there's those temptations, whether you're a religious man or not, there's those temptations that you'll have, those desires, promiscuity of fucking these girls here, of watching porn, taking drugs, of partying and drinking alcohol, enjoying yourself. I did all of that, and you can literally see my journey through these hundreds of videos that I've made. You can see that this is real, that I indulged in that lifestyle. We have hundreds of videos of me in parties hooking up with girls. I enjoyed that lifestyle, all that the godless West has to offer. And here I am today in front of you saying, it wasn't that great. Why is it that you see men like Andrew Tate, who again has experienced like all that the West has to offer, all these hedonistic pleasures, convert into Islam? Because once you've fulfilled all of these primal desires of yours, you're left with this spiritual numbness, this emptiness, but then also this paranoia, this fear of what may arise when you are a godless man. And now, if you're watching this and you're thinking this is weird and wait, why is Hamza preaching religion to us? I don't want you to feel like you're not welcome to much. I'm not religious, not yet. I've been atheist for literally most of my life. And only just in the last few months have I realized like something has got to change. Now Tate has recently just come out and said that he's Muslim, and he's
do you guys actually think Andrew Tate is Muslim? I don't know of the situation. I heard that he converted, but did he actually, like, is he a full-on Muslim now, or is it just for the social media stuff? I don't know, man.
I hope that this video doesn't seem like I'm just imitating him or copying him, because this is a major life decision that we're talking about. But he's a man that I respect, and when he's gave the arguments for and against believing in God, for and against being religious, it makes total sense to me. There was something that I realized a while ago. I've been reading the book Sapiens. It's like a very famous book, you might have heard of it. It's kind of like the history of how our species as, you know, like humans, as like sapiens have developed. And it goes on to say that one of our most important developments was how advanced our brain got to the point that we could start to think of things that aren't exactly right in front of us. We can imagine. Just think about that. We can literally imagine things. We can fantasize about things. We can think of something that is not in front of us right now and share that story to our fellow man. And that's what causes us to unite. Because before we had this advanced brain, we were Neanderthals, just bashing each other with rocks. And as soon as our consciousness got to that level where we could believe in something bigger than us, we joined together to say, there's such a thing called God, and maybe if we follow what he says and be good people, we'll prosper. And if we delay gratification, we'll get into heaven. Now, if you've watched a bunch of my videos, what is the most important concept of self-improvement that I ever talk about? Instant gratification versus delayed gratification. The ultimate delayed gratification is the promise of heaven. Be good in this life for a better afterlife. I teach you nothing original whatsoever. Everything that I say comes from religion. Be a good person, be kind, be generous, meditate, be grateful, be a strong person, have a family, reject degeneracy and hedonism. But I realized a while ago when I was reading this book, Sapiens, that, you know, we have this advanced brain that we can believe in things. It made me realize that as a human being, because of the capability of our advanced brain, we are always going to worship something. I'm gonna say this again.
Bro
You
said
are
Shrek
always
Shaq
worshipping
here, man.
something. If you're an
I'm good,
atheist,
bro. What's
which
up?
I am, so I'm not being hateful or anything,
Pixar,
I am
Pixar.
too. But if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, you're still worshipping something. You still have some kind of God, okay? It's not a religious God. It's not the God from the Bible. It's not Allah. But you still worship something. You know, I carry this concept. I hope this makes sense. I carry this concept in my mind, okay? You're always worshipping something. Religious people worship a God and a holy book. Atheists, what do they worship? What do atheists scream and go crazy about? What do people in like this godless country, I'm in the UK, what do people worship here? Rappers, gang members. If you're uncertain about that, you can search on YouTube right now. Search for some rapper and write concert at the end of it. And you will
There's people who worship Hamza as well, though. YouTubers, you know what I'm saying? Hamza's a cult leader, boys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Hamza's one of them, man, as well.
see all these people crazy. Oh my god, oh, that's the guy I listen to. He is their God. When you live in a godless country, you're still being given people to worship. Now the issue is the person that you're worshipping isn't this holy, almighty power. It's not like this force of good. It's this random fucking thug degenerate who's got women twerking in his music video. And he's
I mean, I guess it's better to, like, worship Hamza, even though, like, that's still kind of, you know what I'm saying?
talking about stabbing people and taking drugs. And maybe you've known this already, because I've kind of known this for a while. So what's the new
what's
revelation
up, man?
that I've
I'm
had?
good.
I am
John
quite
Clash.
certain that this is how these countries will fall. Once you start to open your eyes to this possibility that the country that we are in doesn't always have to stay safe. There's countries out there right now that are in a middle of a war. Now, I've lived in the UK, maybe you're in the UK or some country in the West, which seems relatively safe. We've never had a war in our lifetimes on our own soil. The thought of being dominated by a different country, if you live in the UK or the US, it seems that that wouldn't happen because, yeah, the America's really, really strong. Is it? Because the people here are weak. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. The people here are weak. The people in the West are weak. There's no families. There's no reasons for a man to be strong anymore.
I always
because
see
there's
that skinny
families.
fat
There's
guy.
like, I hate this term. There's no good women. All the women have fallen prey to like the evil propaganda telling them to devalue themselves. Religion tells women to value themselves so highly and tells men to value women so highly that you keep them in this almost this state of like semi-worship. And the
Facts.
godless West tells women to degrade themselves to the point that they literally lose their value because it tells them that purity is not.
Yeah, I watched the fanboyism video as well, man. Definitely, man. Natural hypertrophy also says that if people aren't worshipping religion, then they're worshipping scientism, which is like, you know what I'm saying? People are like slaves to science, which I can understand as well, especially those Jeffrey atheists. Just be an individual person, man. That's why you need to spend a lot of time by yourself in solitude, because that builds your identity and character. And I get all that from Natural Hypertrophy, man. He's probably the best self-improvement channel out there, even though his content is mostly based around fitness.
Thing. Every single man, if he is totally just, you know, you could be watching this disagreeing with me right now. You could be some male feminist. If you just stay silent, don't ever speak about this to anyone else. But if you just see how you feel at the thought of a woman being godless and sleeping around and enjoying the hedonism of the West, if you think of your future wife getting dicked down by chads and she matched with this guy on Tinder, it gives you this gut feeling of pain. Inside of every single man is this gut feeling of pain that a godless woman, it's not right, it's not attractive, it's not what we want. But outside, because of this propaganda, because of this pressure, that I have this fear of being cancelled by speaking about this right now. You go, girl. Don't be sexist. Don't be misogynist. Piers Morgan saying this to Andrew Tate. Like, oh, that's misogynist. Tate just said this in a recent podcast of his, that Islam is a cure for degeneracy. I can't think of any other better cure. I honestly can't. I was so certain for all of my life that I would, you know, it was never something that important to me, but it was like kind of certain, yeah, I'd be an atheist for the rest of my life. Like, I don't believe in God, right? Maybe you've seen over the last like 1 year or so that I've really started to consider this more and more, to the point now that I'm literally reading the Quran. My mom used to make me read that when I was a child, and, you know, I never really wanted to. I always like struggled or whatever. And now I've actively started reading it by my own accord. And I called my mom 2 days ago and told her, and I just saw like the biggest smile on her face when I told her that I started reading, you know, our holy book. And she just got like so happy. She told me it was the right thing. She told me that this, you know, this was the way forward. Right here, right now, you either fully believe me, you agree with me, and you're like, yeah, this is amazing. Hamza might turn Muslim, you know, he'll be one of our brothers. That's amazing. And that's awesome. But maybe you're watching this right now, you're just feeling weird and thinking, okay, this guy is preaching to us. Like, I don't care about religion. Religion's not important. Trust me when I say I felt exactly the same way for all of my life. Maybe you're not there just yet, but there will be a point as you keep advancing your self-improvement, especially when you start looking into like the wider scale of things. You start really investigating why countries rise and fall. You start investigating the kind of country that you want to raise your children, and then you start to realize that countries that eventually give up their culture, their values, and their religion end up getting fucking decimated by another country
that's facts,
their
man.
hardcore values.
Like, if we were to go to war with China right now, gone like that, bro. Because China is so like, it's a collective country, right? And there's not much individualism. Like, but I'm sure like there's individualistic and people with like great and strong identities there. But most, like entirely as a country, it's very collective. As such, if you went to war with China, we would have just lost like that. People, we wouldn't be fighting against China. We would be fighting amongst each other, man, if we went to war. That's how bad it would be, man.
There are no nuclear families here. There's no reason for a man to be strong in this country. And so we see that every man here is weak. I'm talking about the UK, but you know what's interesting? Where are the strong British men? In Spain, in Dubai. The most successful, most wealthy, the hardest working guys here in the West, they make their money and then they go to a different country. So these countries can't even retain like the strong men who would have kept societies like this balanced. The strong men of these countries don't even want to stay here. If you ask these people right here, right now, would they fight for this country? They'd look at you weird. They would literally look at you with ketamine around their nose right now.
Oh, so he made this video still in the UK, bro. Bro, Hamza, well, you left the UK, man. You should have stayed then if you wanted to fight for the country.
Looking at you like, oh, what are you talking about? Oh, just pass us the packet, lad. What are you talking about? Let's go to the pub, lad. I'm just having a wank. If you feel safe right here, right now, in these countries, I am sure that you have not opened your eyes to the brutal truth, the brutal facts that are happening around the world. I made a video which was my most uncensored, most brutal, most important video yet. It's titled TikTok is worse than you thought. If you haven't seen that already, I highly suggest you watch all of that. It's not like a normal anti-social media video. I really show you the research that shows that TikTok is the greatest weapon of war that we've ever experienced. TikTok is literally more deadlier than any nuclear weapon that we've ever devised. Once you look at the research of that and you see the country behind that, and you see that countries right here, right now are preparing
Hey,
for
guess
war,
what
whilst your
country it is, man?
celebrates
China.
fucking your country celebrates degeneracy. It celebrates removing men from the household. It literally actively it actively forces fathers out of the household, which means that children, maybe like yourself, are raised by single mothers, becoming weak, lacking values. And you do realize that there's such a thing called drafts. You do realize that there is a possibility that you may be forced to fight for your country, and you probably don't even see it as your country. The first thing people in this country do when they make money is they leave. There's two music videos that I've watched recently. I don't watch this kind of bullshit content, but there was two that my friend Sam kind of told me to watch. One of them, you can go and have a look right now. It's called Messy in Heaven, and it's made by like some random girl who's she's saying that Jesus took cocaine, like, you know, it's some fucking degenerate shit. It just shows her and her friends like enjoying themselves, drinking, taking drugs, out in parties, bro. When I tell you right now that that music video is such an accurate depiction of a night out in British culture, where these people will come in early, start drinking, then go out and start smoking in the middle of the rave, and
Bro, drinking is such a big part of this culture, man. It's actually so pathetic to watch. If you drink, like, no hate to you, right? But like, it's why is this so ingrained into the culture? You go out, what do you go out to do? You go out to drink. Man, that's crazy.
all fucked up and stuff. This is what the people are doing here. That's like what godless young people do. And then there was another video that Sam showed me. It was like some random rapper. Just, you know, like some American rapper with like a bunch of like jewelry on and everything. He's got like girls twerking around him and everything. You know, it's just a stereotypical like rap song. If that guy walked through the street and people knew he was there, he would be bombarded. All of his worshippers would go
Is that
and like
Nathaniel Messiah? That kind of looks like Nathaniel Messiah. Obviously, that's not him.
People knew he was there. He would be bombarded. All of his worshippers would go and like kneel before him. Some random rapper. When they do concerts, people literally kneel before them and like girls throw their... Is that your future wife? Throwing her bra to this rapper. Is that going to be your future wife in this country? Oh, but I just like going to concerts to dance with my girls. Some random...
Bro, I've never been to a concert. I've never drank alcohol. Yeah, am I that like clean of a... I'm not, but like, I've never drank, never smoked, never gone to a concert, never been into a club. That's crazy, bro.
Rapper.
Do you think that like the normal state of youth right now, I bet like most people my age right now, like they're just like, well, no, most people are inside. Most people aren't going outside, actually. Then I should probably be outside right now.
Is your future wife's bra. If you've read the book Hard Times Create Strong Men, you're already panicking at this global state of affairs. And if you've not read that book right now, maybe your eyes are still closed and maybe you think that I'm some weirdo. All those guys who don't understand this concept have probably clicked off the video and thinking, yeah, but Hamza's gone crazy, whatever. If you haven't already, the book Hard Times Create Strong Men by Stefan Ernio is a 10 out of 10 must read, and you must start reading it now. If there's one thing I can command you to do, if you have any like level of like adherence to what I say, if there's one thing I can make you do, go find the book Hard Times Create Strong Strong Men and start reading it right now.
Read that
As
later.
you
I have
start
like a whole
reading it,
reading list
you will
right now,
panic.
bro. I can't-
You will literally start to fear for the physical safety of your family. You will start to think, okay, fuck, I need to make more money and get my family out of this country fast. It's been written in books of the exact pattern that we're going through. A guy who wrote this book, who mysteriously died after writing it, predicted exactly what's happening. And he mentioned a term which I've spoke about in a previous video called subversion. Subversion is when you destroy a country's cultures and values so that it becomes weak from the inside. And you do this before you even go to war with them. So eventually when you're going to war, you're gonna go fight some guy who's on day zero of NoteFap. You're gonna go fight some guy who doesn't even have a family to fight for. I've said this so many times, bro. Imagine these countries going to war with a country who's...
It's funny, right? Like, cause if you mention this outside, people think you're like going crazy. Like, this is like a serious kind of consideration to make, like when you're deciding what you want to do with life, right? Like when you wake up one day and you're deciding to either go gym or like stay at home and play video games, like this is something you might want to consider, right? But then a lot of people will look at you like you're crazy for thinking like that. No way, like, bro, you're taking yourself too seriously. I mean, you could criticize Hamza for taking himself too seriously here as well, and maybe he's fear mongering. But I think like what he's saying is genuine, man.
Still values family and religion. Imagine an atheist. Boy, 300 nanograms of testosterone. I can't even say, take that bit out because YouTube will fucking cancel me if I use a word like oh, I got cancelled on Skillshare for talking about the death of masculinity in these countries. When you destroy masculinity in the young men of your... Why? It doesn't make fucking sense when you think about it. Why are these countries destroying their own men's masculinity? Because they live in a state of fucking comfort and they think that now this is troubling, this is toxic. You see our videos of helping young men rise up and cure their addictions to porn and social media and to junk food. We are seen as toxic by our own countries. We are trying to become strong so that we may protect our own countries, and they literally see us as toxic and they want to silence us. Every video that I record these days, bro, I don't even know which one's gonna get me totally silenced. 2 years of hard work, employees who rely on the income that we make, and I don't even know which random video I make is just totally gonna remove everything.
Yeah, I see the risk.
How crazy is that? YouTube is a Western company. I think it's like a US company. And it sees content from guys who are trying to make these countries stronger. And it will literally silence
That's why he
you.
needs First Man's streaming platform.
Companies and people and leaders in these like Western godless countries aren't even supporting their own country. And so of course, when you see a strong, successful man being
like
silenced, being hated on, being called toxic, where do you see them all go? They don't stay in these fucking countries anymore. You see Tate just move over. Like, you know, he was started in UK, then he moved over to Romania, then he's moved to Dubai. I'm going to Dubai. You see Iman move to Dubai. Bro, everyone's moving east. Every smart, rich person is moving east. And literally, they're all moving to a Muslim country. Why? Think about that. These guys are probably your role models. All of your role models are moving to a Muslim country. And all of the broke guys are still going out to the pub. And you see them, like, lying down on the floor on, like, you know, the gritty, dirty floor at the end of a night out. Like, oh, I'm so fucked, lad. Oh,
let's go, England.
Bombs, lad. You know,
that's kind of me, though.
Because of religion that totally inhibits, especially the sexual, just freedom, but just the sexual freedom of their young people. Islam restricts that. Islam restricts the sexual freedom of the young people there. You only get to have sex and you only get to experience the opposite sex once you're about to get married. And guess what happens then? A young Muslim guy and a young Muslim girl, since they're restricted from being able to, you know, date or have sex or anything, they're focused on being productive, good citizens. In a right, like in an enforced Islamic country, people go through the school system focused on their studies, and so they produce some top-level doctors and engineers, and their country gets stronger. Here, what happens through the school system here? If you're in the UK or the US, what happens during school? Sure, there might be some nerds who are, like, you know, focused. Even then, think about it. Those people are demonized. Like, the person who's actually focused in school is demonized and called a nerd. Like, I just call this guy a nerd, bro. But for the majority of people in the school system, like, you know, the new generation of workers who are supposed to defend the country, they're too busy thinking, oh, has she replied? Oh, he just fucked me and now he's not replying anymore. Think about how much of their brain power is being taken away by the openness of the sexual revolution here, bro. Kids are having sex at age 13 here. Do you really think they're focused on their studies? Do you really think this country's going to produce like the best workers that it could do? I've had the chance to invest money. You know, this company's making a good amount of money and I try and reinvest as much of it as possible back into the business. But it's got to the point now where our income's pretty high and it's time for me to try and invest into, like, you know, other companies or the, you know, crypto, stocks and stuff. And, you know, the conventional advice that I've always heard is, oh, invest in the S&P 500. And it would probably be a good investment. Guess why
save your money,
bro. In those index funds. Guess why I've not invested in those American companies? You can call me crazy, but I don't think they will stand in another 20 years from now. I don't think that the top US companies will either exist or will still be, like, registered as US companies 20 years from now. All these people who are still trying to, like, invest into the West as it fucking degrades. It makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense. You can see the degradation of all elements of a godless Western society.
I'm gonna get going,
inflation.
man. I needed to go like a long time ago anyway. Thank you guys for watching the stream. My bad for the short stream. Tomorrow I'll be back though.